So how many of you are having a golden time right now? Like you're picking up golden nuggets, taking it home with you today. So I'm going to introduce you to an acronym, actually. The reason why I'm all wearing gold here is because it's more than just a color. It's an embodiment of who I believe we all truly are. I believe we're all gold. We're genuine, original, loving dreamers. We're getting it going in the NFT space. We're getting it going in the Web3 space. We're aligning with our soul purpose here in this space. We're aligning with who we truly are, what makes us genuinely us, what makes us, what really lights us up. We're remembering our dreams again. We're all gold. So LFG, let's flow gold. So as you now know, Visionnaire is a music maven, mastermind, and golden moderator. So Lyricist Lounge is a legendary brand who will be joining Visionnaire up here shortly. He's known for introducing the world to a few legendary MCs. Please join me in welcoming Lyricist Lounge and Visionnaire. Let's go, LFG, let's flow gold.
Yeah, give me a hug. Love you so much.
Love you too.
Yeah. And I'm actually gonna, because I have some very special guests that actually don't often get to talk. I was wondering if it was cool if I could turn this into a little bit more of a panel. We got some folks. So we have Jamie Cornelia in the building.
One, two.
A new artist, fellow Zoratopian, super duper ultra talented. Got to see them perform for the first time yesterday, and I almost broke my leg doing something I shouldn't have been doing to one of these songs. I can't do what the kids do anymore. So Jamie, please come on up. Yes. It's your time. And I also have the homie. I'm gonna grab another chair, but I also have the homie, my homie Gilles Moses in the building. So Gilles, well, first let's give everybody a hand, and then I'll tell you a little bit about everybody. So, yeah. So Gilles basically, let's just say, have everybody seen The Wizard of Oz? You know about the man behind the. Gilles is one of the men behind the curtain. Definitely an analyst of the space, has been in the traditional music industry, but also exists in Web3 and is really looking to revolutionize and create structure around how this technology can change, this existing industry. Ant Marshall, co-creator of Lyricist Lounge, which basically was one of the dopest, most coveted cultural products in the early 90s, really bringing rap and comedy and this concept of culture together, creating skits with some of your favorite rappers. I'll let him tell you who. I'm not gonna say no names. That's on him. And Jamie the Future, right? So we have past, present, future all in the same place. And the point of this panel, the reason why I'm kind of putting it together like this is I think it's very important for us to have context so that we can create change, right? It's one thing to know that something is broken, or it's one thing to know that something can be improved. It's another thing to understand how, because you understand why it was built and who built it and when it was built, right? So we're gonna get into the industry from a long lens and the industry from a short lens is in what's happening currently and what we have to look forward to. So give everybody one more big round of applause. Yeah. And let's start at the end. So Jamie, tell us a little bit about how you started in music, where you're from. Just give us a little bit of the backstory.
All right. I'm Jamie Cornelia, and I've been doing music for a very long time. I always tell people the first time I ever got into music in general is I was raised by a really religious family. My family in North Carolina, we own like one of the biggest black Pentecostal churches in the Southeast region called Bible Way Temple. Shout out to my family. And and whenever you hit a certain age, they kind of start having conversations with you about like how God is going to speak through you, and you have to like figure out what it is. And I was too young to really understand what they were talking about, you know what I'm saying? But I knew that I was an Alicia Keys fan, and I knew I wanted my hair braided like her, and I knew I wanted to play piano like her. So I told my family that I wanted like God to speak to me through music. I wanted to learn how to play piano so I could play piano at the church and stuff like that. And it's just, something I always remember because it's like, wow, that's kind of ironic. But so that's like, I started playing piano when I was like 8 years old, 8, 9. I started taking it seriously when I was like probably like 10 or 11. I got pretty good. And then my mom ended up moving to Atlanta, like the Atlanta area, when I was 11. And Atlanta is like, that's where I'm from. So that's music everywhere all the time. Everybody's doing music. Everybody's doing that. So I was in like a bunch of punk bands. I was in my brother's rap group. I was in, you know what I'm saying? So that's pretty much how I got into music and stuff. And what was it? How I got into Web3 is the second question?
Oh, no, we're going to get to that. We're going to get to that.
I'm gonna get that's how that's it. That's how I got to music. Boom.
Appreciate you. And give us a little bit of perspective on how you got into music. And I would really love to know, because you are the resident perspective holder on stage. So I'd really like to know your first interaction with hip hop.
Lord, my first interaction with hip hop was on the radio, DJ Red Alert, which is, he's still alive, if you don't know, and he's still killing it every single night as much as possible. I don't mean to say it like that, he's still alive, but it's like, he's such a great in the space that, you know, because there's been so much more built upon him, it's like he's forgotten. But just look up DJ Red Alert. He's amazing. But my entry into hip hop culture and, you know, as more of a business person was really as a dancer. You know, was in the clubs in New York City, late 80s, 89. I was about 14 years old, sneaking into nightclubs, Studio 54, you name it. They don't allow that anymore. But there was a different time in New York back in those days. And you know, one thing led to another, and we had a mentor, and the mentor was like, hey, I have a space that I'm not using. There were a lot of ciphers in the park back then in New York City, Washington Square Park, you know, hip-hop really wasn't everywhere as it is now, you know, was definitely more underground. And so the mentor was like, hey, we have a space, an old studio on Orchard Street in the Lower East Side. We're not using it. If you want to invite some young people, I'll invite some music industry people, and let's see what happens. And, you know, for us being 16 and 17, like, you can't give 16 and 17 kids a loft for free without parental, you know, management and let them rock, you know what I mean? And so the fact that he really trusted us, that's kind of how Lyricist Lounge was started. And from there, a lot of great things.
Absolutely, absolutely. And finally, Gilles, I'm really curious about really just your first steps into the music industry specifically. So if you could kind of walk us through how you're interfacing with music through, you know, existing companies. Well, like, what was the beginning of that like?
Yeah, so I actually come from an artist background. I was in a touring choir as a kid, was on Grammy-winning albums, sang for the Queen of the Czech Republic, sang Mass of Notre Dame, did wild things that, I don't know, I did them. And I did that enough and got tired of it because being in a boy choir wasn't cool. As a kid, and you go to middle school, everybody's like, what the fuck are you doing singing? And I'm like, I don't know. And then you start to see, like, rap was cool, and I'm like, really, what am I doing? And then, so I got out of it, started doing my own music. You know, first interactions with hip-hop, rap, outside of what my dad was playing was, like, you know, in the club, like 50 Cent. Like, I remember hearing that in car radios when that shit dropped. On 4th grade, like, on the playground, like, oh, what is this? This is crazy. And then I ended up working at Empire for 4 years. I've thrown shows, I've thrown festivals, ran music blogs, I've managed artists. I've done the whole gamut of that. And now I'm in the Web3 space, kind of helping shepherd people around and helping really kind of structure what this looks like for artists. And we could talk more about that. We will talk more about that. So
yeah. Subtle flex with the Queen of the Czech Republic. I didn't even know that, and I'm your friend. You out here just like, I still got someone. Okay. So what I'd like to ask in a bit of a speed round, give me one thing that is new and exciting to you about Web3 from your experience as a creator, if it's of content or if it's of music. Just give me one thing. Let's start with Gilles and go down the line.
Yeah, okay. I think the most interesting thing for me about Web3 for artists is your ability to turn the conversation of a live experience and the conversation of a live show, like music as a live art form, is to take that and bring that aspect back into a digital context. You have the ability to reach out to people's wallets and know who holds your stuff directly. You can finance and fundraise from fans that you know are actually invested in you, and actually have chances for people to be integrated into your growth process in a way that you're not able to do now, in a way that the label system was very, very was kind of the antithesis. There we go. Jesus,
Yeah,
the antithesis of what the label system really pushed. So that's what's interesting for me.
Interesting. And
okay, interesting for me is probably going to be just around. I love the fact that your narrative is what's creating your value. You know, that the fact that you can be on Clubhouse and talk about yourself before anybody hears your music, sees your shit, just the fact that you're talking about who you are and what you plan on doing with the support. That is what people are latching onto and supporting. I think that's amazing. Before, back in the days, you would hear the music first, you would buy it, meet the artist, and realize they're a fucking asshole. So you just supported a whole bunch of bullshit, right? But here, you actually get to know who the person is before you support, and I'm super interested by that.
that's dope. That's dope. Jamie.
I think that I like that you can just be yourself, like the tribe feeling. You feel what I'm saying? Like, I feel like in other types of music experiences I've been in, it's been surrounded by a bunch of people that created characters, you know, for them to be. And in the Web3 space, I just meet regular people, and I think that's pretty cool.
That's what's up. That's what's up. And one thing, this question is more so for Ant. I'm curious about the trajectory of the intersection of technology and music, right? I think I'm gonna maybe kind of throw in a hot take, but hip hop is an electronic form of music by design, right? We're using technology to manipulate samples and sounds.
Mm-hmm.
So just talk about the relationship between music and technology from your perspective.
Absolutely.
And how it's evolved.
When I hear about technology and this space, there's always this conversation around disruption, right? And being disrupt. How are you going to disrupt the market? Well, hip hop has always been the fucking disruptor, right? We walked in the building like, we don't give a fuck what the fuck you think. Like, this is what we're doing. And if you want to do this, then do this with us, but don't try to change us, because that's not going to work. And so we've always been those people. And so I think, you know, there's always been a relation there just in terms of in the concept, constructually. But then as you move forward in the culture, as the culture has grown, we've always adapted to technology. As you said, you know, whether it's sampling, et cetera, but also two ways, right? You know, forms of communication. Before we were really using it and it became a mainstream thing, it was only really doctors and nurses using beepers, right? And so it was like the hip hop generation that was like, oh, I need that. And so that became a thing. Or even SUVs, you know, where, you know, moms in suburban areas were using the SUV, or the dads or whatever. But, you know, you got Wu-Tang pulling out the MPV, you know, in the video. And now all of a sudden that's a thing, you know what I mean? So we've always been, you know, connected to technology and also a big platform for sales. And now I think where it's going with this world of Web3, for the first time, the creatives are actually ahead of the suits. You know, if we were in Clubhouse, et cetera, listening and learning about NFTs before they were. And so they're now catching on. Now there's a small window for us to take opportunity, you know, take that opportunity to stay ahead. But, you know, from a trajectory standpoint, yeah, man, we just got to get in it, stay in it, and hurry up, you know what I mean, and move quickly.
Yeah, and you lead me right into my next point, which I'm gonna lob to Jamie. So, how are you actively using Web3 technology to do things you could not do in Web2?
Whew. Okay. Well, let me think about it for a second. Honestly, before Web3, I never bought crypto before. I never understood how any of that stuff worked. You know what I mean? I'm like one of those super creatives that like suck at math and get shook when I see like computer stuff. I normally, my brother and my best friend, he went to Georgia Tech. I'll send it to him. What is that? But like, so I think learn, like honestly just learning from other devs, because I have like friends that are like, I feel like I'm talking to people that I would have never talked to before through Web3, because I'm such a creative. I'm so like, oh, get that math away from me. Now it's like I'm able to actually communicate with people who are developers and who are into all of that stuff, and they're really into it. And we're up at like 3-4 o'clock in the morning on Discord, sharing music and talking about technology. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, it's not an active present use, but it's like future planning that I feel like I would have never done in Web 2. Did that answer the question?
Yeah, that's amazing.
Okay,
That's
cool.
amazing. Looking at the intersection of music and technology as a way for on-ramp for education, I think is powerful. And I'll throw go ahead.
I just want to add 2 seconds to that real quick. Web3 is amazing because it's forcing the creative to become a tech head.
Yeah.
Like before, we would sit back on it and be like, no, I just want to focus on the album. Let my managers deal with that. Let my manager do this. Let my manager do that. No, you got to fucking know how to do it. You got to know how to code. You got to understand how to make your own community tokens. You got to understand what the blockchains are. Like, you're not allowed. You know what I'm saying? Like, you're not allowed, because if you do the same thing the past generations did, you'll be where they are. You know what I'm saying? So now it's time to own your shit, make your shit, own your shit. You know what I mean? I won't get on the soapbox, but it's real.
And I'm a lob the penultimate question to Gilles. Where are we headed from here with Web3 technology and music creation?
I mean, there's that could go so many different directions. I think, and I'm a bit of a contrarian, and I'm a bit of my takes are my own takes. But I think that like right now there's a lot of focus on selling music on chain, selling music NFTs as this is what my song is, and like that's not it. And I can break that. This is not the time for me to break that all down, but like that's not it. And the reality is, I think what we're going to is ways for kind of what I was talking about earlier, is ways for artists to better have the conversation and have the dialogue with their fans that needs to exist in order to have a sustainable music career, in order to have an engaging experience, right? Like when you go to a live show, the reason you go to a live show is because you have a direct influence. Thanks, bro. You have a direct influence on the music that's being created. Like if me talking right now, I can see like, oh, what I'm saying is either resonating or not. Like if he's like shaking his head, I'm like, damn, I'm saying some bullshit. But for the same way an artist does when they're performing, you can't do that. Give me 1 second. I got you. Give me 2 seconds.
Yeah,
you can't do that as an artist in a recorded setting, in an NFT space or in a Web3 space, with having people's wallet addresses and whatnot. Those fans that were once just passive listeners on Spotify can now be an active contributor to your career in some way, shape, or form. And I think that's a big space, a big way that Web3 technology will be used with music.
That's powerful. That's powerful. 10 seconds each. Plug your next thing. Go. Plug your next thing.
Cool. I'm over at 6. We're a Web3 creative music strategy firm. We're working on a lot of big things. Really what I'm excited about is taking these things with working with artists that you know and applying to artists that you don't know, and really building out spaces for Black, brown, queer people to utilize technology that they never have access to in a traditional industry standpoint.
And
I'm working on signing the dog because the vocals. Lyricist Lounge DAO. We are our 30-year. We are a 30-year cultural institution. Now starting over with the Lyricist Lounge DAO, we've created our own community token called bars. We have 10 million bars on Ethereum, 100 million bars on Polygon. We are growing the community very, very quickly. At the end of the day, we will see ourselves as a bank. The Bank of Lyricist Lounge. We will be a cultural funding institution that gives no fucks about major labels or anyone else for that matter. We will be using our community to support ourselves and become fully self-sufficient.
All right. I don't really have anything to plug necessarily, but I do have a thing called Lit NFT Gang, and we just a group of creatives and devs and stuff that we just try stuff out and tell each other how it works. So we do a lot of like beta testing for different things coming out, and then we let them know like, hey, I just tried out arpeggio. So that's what I have to plug.
It's lit. It's lit. I definitely hope everybody taps in with these three. This is the future of music, the future of Black culture on chain. Appreciate y'all so much.
We would be wrong by leaving this panel without talking about you.
Oh, man.
Visionnaire. You always try to do that. Everybody else is about everybody else, about everybody else. It's not about
Make
me.
some noise for
This
Visionnaire.
motherfucker is one of the most important people around. All right, he's a super connector. Super connector, an incredible artist. Please buy his music. He's an incredible developer. A lot of these strategies you're creating around NFT drops, the Project Yams, etc. Just please look him up and support him. And maybe one day you'll see what he looks like.
Y'all all got ETH. Spend some on him. He got a crazy crowdfund going.
Thank you. Appreciate that. Thank you guys so much. Give him a round of applause. Thank you so much.